This is an introduction to balancing chemical equations. In order to obey the law of conservation of mass, chemical equations must be balanced. So in order to say that everything that comes in comes out, things need to be balanced on the reactant side and the product side. So in balanced chemical equations, they have the exact same number of each element on both sides of the equation. So for example, in this equation we have 3 hydrogen atoms, which calls for a total of 3 hydrogen molecules, calls for a total of 6 hydrogen atoms, because I took my coefficient of 3 and I have 3 hydrogen molecules which each have 2 hydrogens. That gets me a total of 6 hydrogen atoms on the left here, and 1 nitrogen molecule which each contains 2 nitrogen atoms. So I can count 6 hydrogen atoms here, 2 nitrogen atoms, and on the right, that gets me, I have 2 molecules of NH3, and so I have 2, and each molecule has 1 nitrogen, so that's 2 total nitrogen, and I have 2, and each molecule has 3 hydrogen, so that gets me a total of 6 hydrogen. And so if I look at these, I have 6 hydrogen and 2 nitrogen on my left, 2 hydrogen and 6 nitrogen on my right. I have a balanced chemical equation, and I have the same number of each element on both sides of the equation. Why do we need to balance? So I can say, okay, silver oxide makes silver and oxygen, but here I have 2 silver atoms and 1 oxygen atom, and over here I have 1 silver atom and 2 oxygen atoms. And if I were to count the mass, and the mass of these is shown sort of relatively by the size of the spheres, I have more going in terms of mass than I have coming out, and that doesn't make sense. So here, if I balance this by putting 2 silver oxide atoms here for a total of 4 silver atoms and 2 oxygen atoms, and then I put a coefficient of 4 silver and just keep my coefficient of 1 for oxygen, I have an ending amount again of 4 silver atoms and 2 oxygen atoms, and I now have a balanced chemical equation. And it makes sense. Everything that goes in comes out in some form. And so, as noticed, I have to use coefficients to actually balance the chemical equations. I can't just rely on them being balanced by just writing what the molecules are made of. And I can't change what the molecules are made of. If I need 1 more oxygen, I can't change water from being H2O to H2O2. That would be hydrogen peroxide. So I can't change what the atom is, but I can change the quantity of how many there are. And I will say that finding out which coefficients to use to balance an actual equation is a trial and error process. So you will not necessarily get this all the first time.